Welcome to this lesson, which is titled World of the Recipes in Colombia by Paula Andrea Abril. And well, for the warm up, we're going to check two images um, where there are where there is food vocabulary like cookware or ingredients. And uh, after check this vocabulary, we're going to choose one item of this food vocabulary and relate this with a quality that you have. So we are going um, to check the two images. So in the first image, um, we are going to find um, food vocabulary like ingredients, and in the second image, you can find cookware vocabulary or uh, kitchen utensil vocabulary. So, like for example, microwave, stove, pot, pan, covered, bowl, plate. And for the first image, you can find rice, tomatoes, salt, milk, spices, lentils, um, pasta, chickpeas, scallions or green onions. And after check this vocabulary, you have to choose one of this vocabulary and relate this with a quality that you have. For example, I'm going to choose the oven because of I am a person that have problem to make decisions, and I think that the oven is uh, an utensil that is patient because um, this have to bake for a lot of time um, some food like bread, for example, and I have to bake my decisions for a lot of time, and that's it. That is the activity that you have to do. You need to check this vocabulary and choose one of those items and say a quality that is related um, with uh, with this vocabulary at with your quality, obviously. And well, now we are going to move to the presentation stage. In the presentation stage, we're going to learn about Colombian food vocabulary through a mind map, and that um, that you can find in this link. And well, and Colombian food vocabulary um, is divided in three items. First, ingredients, cookware, and imperative verbs. This is too important because is the way that you can find a recipe like um, for example, in a recipe, you can find first the title, obviously, of the recipe, and after that, the ingredients, some measures with ingredients, and after that, you can find the step by step where you uh, are able or are able to find a cook where or imperative verb, for example, is common. Use imperative verbs uh, to write a recipe. For example, a common ingredients for Colombian um, recipe is lentils, rice, beans, chickpeas, pasta, or peas, because those ingredients are too useful for Colombian dishes because our legumes and we eat a lot of legumes. And other vocabulary that is useful for preparing Colombian recipe is green onions, salt, spices like cloves or oregano, and flour and flour and milk, tomatoes, and in cook word vocabulary or kitchen utensil vocabulary, you can find a spoon, a knife, or fork that are related with this image that represents all those utensils. Pot that is represented for this image. Sorry, I'm going to maximize my screen. So here you can find the images that are related with these ingredients and these ingredients. And for your cook, you can find this are covered on a spoon, a fork, and knife. And this is a pot that is commonly used for preparing a recipe, and a bowl that is like this, a bowl, and a plate, and obviously you need to a stove if you want to cook, and a microwave for uh, cooking pre-cook food. And well, and if you want to comprehend a recipe, and if obviously you want to write um, a recipe, you need to use imperative verbs, because since in a recipe you can find sentence um like bake the cake or mix the cream for 20 minutes. And a common imperative verbs um, are add, mix, that is the action of um, move a spoon from a side to another side, bake, mm, that is the action uh of the action that that makes an oven, measure, peel, that is too common in a recipe because you need to peel some bananas, fruit, vegetables. Stir is related with mix, and chop is related with cut, and a slice is related with cut but in a slice, and the action of this. And well, we use imperative verbs in order to request or command something, like for example cut this vegetables, or um add this ingredient uh, inside the pot, for example. Where so And that's all for Colombian food vocabulary. We are going to return to the presentation. So, in presentation stage, we have a short um, activity that is to choose um, from Colombian food vocabulary some vocabulary that you usually use for preparing a recipe in your daily life. You can help you with this wheel, and if you don't remember the vocabulary of the presentation, for example, you can um, spin this wheel of fortune and remember the vocabulary. For example, here I for example, for my daily life, I use a spoon, knife, and fork for preparing my eggs. For example, I use a spoon, a knife, and fork for making an eggs uh, for my breakfast every day. But it is not necessary to use the wheel, or you just need to remember the vocabulary and or say the, that, for example, in my daily life I usually use, for example, milk or beans or tomatoes in order to prepare my breakfast, my lunch, my dinner, and that's all for the uh, short activity for presentation stage. And well, after this stage, come the practice stage where um, your work uh, two activities. The first is in group is an activity in group and have to last 50 minutes. And in this activity, you just have to mention um, to a partner a Colombian recipe, the name, just the name of the Colombian recipe. And after that, you have to share and mention the ingredients of this Colombian recipe, this Colombian recipe. And obviously, you have to mention what did you choose this Colombian recipe. For example, why do you like this Colombian recipe? And that's all for this activity. Just discuss this items with your partner. Say the name of the Colombian recipe, the ingredients, and say um why did you choose this recipe. And after uh, after finish this um activity, you are develop in groups um with a partner, sorry, with a partner. And this challenge is a make a changua challenge, so that have to last 50 minutes. And so we are going to move to the link in order to see mm, the activity. For this activity, you going to click on start and read all the instruction, all the challenge. But the point for this activity is to read is an reading activity when you have to comprehend the changua recipe and and answer all the question in order to pass to the other step in order um, to make a changua. For example, here you are going to imagine that you are this guy that you are waking up, you are going down a step and you're surprised that you don't find anyone, and when you go to the kitchen, you find a note that you decide to read. And after that, and you can you go to the kitchen and see that there is um mm, a note over the door uh, fridge, and you are going to click on the note, and you are imagining um that you are this guy, you and your loved one um uh, mm, goes out to work and left a recipe on the door fridge for you make your breakfast, and you have to follow all the steps. And here you can find the first step. You have to read this and be careful with this underline sentence. And you are going to move to the other slide with this a row, and to read the notes and answer this question: what is the most important thing of the first step for preparing a changua, and taking into account the first step. And for example, if I choose um, this answer, I'm going to move to the another question, and you have to respond of the question and activities that appear in order to make the shangwa. And well, that's it. That's all for the practice stage. You have to finish the make a changwa challenge with your partner, and where well, after that, at the end, we have a production stage. Is a simple um is a simple activity to just have to write your own recipe, um taking into account the last stage where the first activity of making a Colombian recipe. And in this stage you have to write all the recipe, and you we're going to move to the Canva presentation where you have to write the recipe that you choose for the practice stage to mention to your partner. And here in the first page, you can find um, the instruction for developing this activity. Just need to be careful to first write the title, the ingredients, and step by step for preparing the recipe. And be careful also to use imperative imperative verbs, cook, word vocabulary, and food and ingredients vocabulary of Colombian food vocabulary. And here you can find an example. This is a title. The title is Eggs. Soup is related with um, changwa recipe. Um, the only thing that is different for this recipe is that you have you don't have to add it to add um, mm, to add milk, and the eggs are different. For example, are scrambled eggs, not crack the eggs inside the pot. You just have to boil the water and stir the eggs in order to make a scrambled eggs and serve with a toast like a changwa. And well, you have the other page to to add your writing activity, your recipe that you choose for the practice stage, and be careful to put a step by step, like first boil 2 cups of water, two stir 3 eggs, and third add the scrambled eggs inside the medium pot, or four serve with a toast. And also be careful with the ingredients, and put the title of the recipe, and that's all for this production activity. Finally, you can find an assessment form. This is for the make a changwa challenge activity. And where? Well, you have to um respond first, and you need to write your name and respond what the day is today, and read all the statement and choose mm, the number that correspond for your score. For example, one being the less scored, and fourth combine the best score. For example, here for this, if you understand how to make a changwa, you can you might put um, four that combine excellent, or three that combine good, or two that combine mm, uh, low, or one that combine poor. And that's all. You just send the form, and this that's all for the lesson plan of uh word of the recipe in Colombia. And thank you for hearing me and watching me.